everybody, and welcome to my video. My camera will stop shaking in just a minute. I am here, if I don't hit the cord, I am here in my Project Life family album. This is the first half. I have to keep it plugged in. Hold on, let me fix it. Okay, this is the first half of my album. And I finally got my June photos. And that is, okay, that is here, June, which is the very last month of the second album. Now, I definitely have a few things I need to do for May. I need a few photos. I need to figure that out. So there's definitely a few things that I need to do for May, but what I want to do today is get in all of my June photos. Okay, typically June is a much quieter month for us than what it was this year. This album is already really thick, and I've got several like insert things that I would like to do. So what I need to do is figure out what's gonna go in here. I do have this layout taped to the back of my album. I'm fine with that. Okay, so let me show you what I have, because I sorted all of my photos before I got on camera. Now, I sent out through Snapfish, so I uploaded to snapfish.com, and then I waited. It took about 2 weeks. I don't like waiting for photos. This is why I don't wait for them. I would rather just pick them up, because last week I wanted to be working on this and I was waiting for photos. I will say that the quality this time with Snapfish is a lot better. I did this 1 year for Week in the Life and the photos were horrible and I was so disappointed. They're better this year. So let me show you my piles. The first thing I have is 3 photos for Senior Prank for this year that Kayla sent me. I don't know that I will put these in our album. Probably next year, whatever the Senior Prank is, I probably will do those in our album, because Kayla will be a senior next year. This year was just, she was doing stuff with her friends. Okay, I have a couple photos of the yard that might not go in to June. The first thing I have is Violet had her wisdom teeth out, and so I have photos from that. We'll do these last. I have graduation photos. Kayla's, the guy Kayla's dating graduated, so of course we went to graduation. And I just have a few photos. Now I have a ton more on my phone because a lot of Kayla's friends were graduating, and so we have photos of that, but that doesn't all need to go into my album. So I have this one that obviously I wanted to go in. I have this one of Kayla and I decorating the house for him. And then I did a collage of different moments from graduation. And then I did a second collage I got when they threw their hats up. This one I probably don't need on here because I have the big one. I wish that I would have realized that and I would have put a different one in here. And then when he came off the stage, I got one of Kayla greeting him. And then Andrew and Violet actually watched from home because they didn't want to go. We live really close to the high school. We live about 10 minutes away. And so they wanted to watch from home, and so they watched on the TV, and Andrew took a photo of him watching, of the TV of them watching. So I wanted to include that. So we have like graduation. So Violet's surgery, graduation. Then we have our outdoor movie night. I did a spread about this in my summer album, so I don't know that I will actually, I don't know that I need to include this particular one. So we'll set that aside. Then I have our summer shed project, which did make it into my summer mini album, but this is more extensive of what's actually happening, and I would like to put that in our family album. I have a little this, I think what I'm going to do is put these photos, which is a little date that my husband and I went on. I think I'll put this in my personal album. Next up, I have talked about this before. One of the ways that I like to consume news is through the lens of just funny, like being funny. Particularly right now, as everything the last, 5 years have been absolutely crazy. And I might have talked about this in my membership when I did a layout about this, but I watch Gutfeld every night. I'm not a big late night person. Like, I never liked late night, or, with Jay Leno, or, Johnny Carson. I mean, I remember him, like, of course he's a legend. I didn't watch him because I was, not born yet, but I just was never into any of that stuff. But I have recently been watching Gutfeld every night, Monday through Friday, and it delivers the news in this very, funny way, and I still know what's happening, and, I can laugh about things. And my favorite gal on there is Kat, and she went on maternity leave back at the beginning of the year, and then when she had her baby, like 2 hours before she had her baby, she found out she had cancer. And so she was off on maternity leave, and then she came back, and I wanted to document her coming back. I was so excited for her to return, and so I grabbed a few screenshots. And then this is actually when I was watching that night, I was texting my husband about her first return. I want to put that in our album. It seems significant enough. And then these are some everyday kind of photos, like nothing particularly exciting. Andrew with his Legos, a walk. This actually will go in my personal album. Cooking, and then this is like the end of school. I did not get a photo of Violet's end of school because she didn't go the last day. And so when I was taking everybody's photos, I missed her. So these are every day. So let's start with that. Let's start with every day. And then I also have another news thing that happened in June that I want to include. So what I do is I will go through. So my everyday photos are going to stretch on my design A. So I use Project Life. I use pocketed page protectors. And then I use a whole bunch of other things, like different inserts. I do my Project Life on a monthly basis. So that means I use 2 design A's. And then the 2 design A's are going to hold all of my just random photos from the month. Just like our everyday life. Like, there's nothing I need to call out about having corn, other than it's something we do in the summertime. And then anything that is extra, like that is special, that I want to highlight, graduation, a date with my husband, senior prank, something in the news, it goes in the middle. So what I will do with these photos here is I will go through and we will put them out in such a way. Cooking, I feel like, is a good one. Washing the car, having corn. This one here is the same one of this. He was teaching Andrew how to clean, he was teaching him how to clean guns. Like, I don't know, maybe that should not be on the internet. I'm not positive. He was teaching him all of the different things that you need and the different oils that you need. And, there was not a weapon out on this table. He was showing him, this is some stuff from my husband's Marine Corps days. And he was like showing him all the different things that he uses. And so, that was a close up. And so I'm not going to keep the one that is farther away. And then I'm going to put this one in. So I don't need this one. And then I'm not sure why I took this one. I think I took this one because my car's not here. That's what I did. That's why I did this one, is because we keep referring to the red car as Kayla's car, and it's my husband's car. And he keeps going like, no, that's my car. So I think then I'll do the one with Andrew and the Legos. So this is the main, nothing else really needs to happen. These just need to be put into pockets. And this is not only the random things that I have. We still have a few other random things that I'm gonna have to figure out. Okay, so then let's move these. And this, the reason I do it this way is it is how I manage to stay caught up with this project. I used to do traditional pages for everything that I did, and there was just, it was impossible to stay caught up. Okay, so I have a few things that are kind of some random things here. I have some royal stuff that was going on. So I think it was Trooping the Color, and I think Royal Ascot, I'm probably saying that totally wrong, was going on in June. And so I have some screenshots. Karen Reed found not guilty. I don't know about you, but I definitely was following this case. I have this summer bucket list that I just thought was sweet. I don't know that I'll use this one. I have one of Violet eating watermelon, but the reason that I have this is because my nephew, Zane, was on Instagram, and like he was feeding the horses, and I took a screenshot so I could include it. And then my mom sent me photos of my grandpa. And we haven't seen him in a long time, but my mom was down visiting, and she lives with my grandpa. And when she came back, he had grown out his facial hair. And so my mom had sent me photos and was like, I can't leave him alone. Look what I came home to. So I thought it was sweet. So I wanted to include it. So this is something that I will filter in. So I think what I will do is, okay, so this summer bucket list, I think will actually be cute right here. We don't really have a summer bucket list, and we don't really do a lot of these things. So I'm gonna trim this down so that I can put it like on the back of this yellow one. So really the first thing that I like to do is go through and just add all of my random things, because then I'm gonna have a good idea of how much space I have. Oh yeah, I really like that. Okay, and then I think I will add this one of my grandpa onto one. Yeah, I don't think I really need to have both. So what I will do, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna slip it into this pocket until I'm ready to embellish, because I don't know if I will put it on the top or the bottom, because I'll want to put a little journaling thing there. Okay, and then, oh yeah, that's gonna take some getting used to. Okay, and then the Karen Reed one. I think we'll go here. I first watched the documentary on, I think it was on Hulu. Oh no, it was on Max. HBO Max. And then, of course, I was following the second trial, which I will probably put some journaling to that. So years from now, I'll know what that was. Okay, and then we have the real stuff. And I think I'll just put this one right there. And again, I will just add some journaling at some point so that I know like why that was in there. Okay, so now I'm gonna have to try to figure out which extra page protectors I want in here. So on the back here, I'm thinking I will do these are all end of the year school, so I think I will do that here. And then I'm wondering if my photo of Zane could go right there. And then what I might do is put a journaling card there, which I know then that covers up all the beautiful paper, but we're gonna have some other inserts, so. Okay, perfect. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna figure out what extra page protectors I need. And then
we're falling out, we've reached disaster. Don't know where we're gonna be after. And we do it all again and again and again and again. Again and again and again and again. We're falling down, we faded. But I know that we can save it. Cause we're like Alpha and Omega.
Okay, so because this is the very end of the album, I also have, this is gonna work out really, really nicely. So I also have the back of this for like, let me see what I have here. All right, I decided to jump right into voiceover because this is a pretty long video for a Project Life weekly video, and that is because I went ahead and I ended up doing my journaling, and I'm really close to wrapping up this first half of the album. In fact, next week when you see Project Life Weekly, that's what you will see. You will see me just putting the final touches on this album, and then we'll be able to jump into the second half of the album, which I feel really good about. So I work about a month behind because of filming and the way that I order my photos. I wait until the end of the month, well, the beginning of the very next month, and then I order photos. And so it works out for me to work about a month behind, and I feel pretty good. So we're in the middle of July. I just dropped June photos. I got June journaling done, and then there's always a few things that I need to wrap up. Next week I will be showing you how I stamp my Avery Index tabs, and specifically why I leave that until the very end of the album to do. So I'll be sharing that. And then there's always a few things left to do, and I don't mind that because it gives me an opportunity to flip back through the work that I've done, right? Sometimes I think as memory keepers, as the ones that are doing the memory keeping and putting these albums together, we are quick to want to get to the next thing, We want to get this layout done. We want to get this album done. And then for what? To put it on the shelf and then not enjoy it. So I actually really enjoy going back, and there's always a few minor things that I want to be able to add or fix, or there's something that I've left off. And so it's nice to be able to go back and do that. I decided to put these photos here of our big shed project this summer at the very end of May. So I had the back of this page protector, and the journaling that was in that top slot, I don't know what it was for. I read it and I was like, this makes no sense. So I don't know where that journaling was supposed to go. I went ahead and I just took it out, and then I added these photos of the shed getting done. And I have to say that it does feel a little bit embarrassing to have these photos on the internet. This shed in our back yard was built, I don't know, 15 years ago. And it's one of those things that has just over the years, over the last probably 7 to 8 years, we have really needed to go through it and get the things that were just trash out of it, and then get the repairs done to it, and then organize inside of it so that my husband, and particularly Andrew, had a place for like their tools and all the things that they do. And it's a really big project. It's something that we really needed to be able to take everything out of the shed and assess what was happening. And so our entire backyard, is full of stuff. Typically during the summer, it's hot and it's more of a struggle to get out there. This summer has been phenomenal. It has been amazing. This last week, we have been having 80-degree weather, and one day we had 75 degrees. That was our high. And so that is quite different than last year when we were hitting like 117. So it was horrible last summer. So this summer, it really worked out because I told Andrew that he could do this. So the very last week of school, he started pulling stuff out. Now, I don't think he realized what a big job it was going to be. So it is a little bit embarrassing to have it's just such a big mess and such a big project, but it's real life. And that is what we're working on this summer. And so I'm documenting it. And of course, Andrew and my husband have lost steam to do it. And so it is now almost the end of July, and they are still working on it, hoping to wrap that up this week. Hoping. So I dropped those into May just because I had the space, and I'm less concerned about everything being perfectly chronologic order. Yes, that happened at the very end of May, the beginning of June. So it's not totally out of order, but it's just a reminder to make things work. The point of doing this is to get the album done, right? And to be able to move through it and not be so behind that you feel stressed. So you just make it work. And that was a perfect spot for that. So I dropped those photos there, and then I won't have to figure out an extra insert for June. I took a page protector and I cut off part of it. It ended up being a 9x12 page protector. I could have just grabbed one of my 9x12s because that is the exact design of a 9x12, but that's okay. This is going to be for graduation, and I cut up some of the photos that I did, the collage photos that I did. I didn't want to do a duplicate of that photo of the four of us, so I ended up not using that photo that had that. And then I did a photo here of the TV of the kids watching it at home. I wanted to include that. This is the one that I chop up, and I'm going to put this into a 3x4 and then just not have those other photos. I was sad to not have the photo of them throwing their hats in the air, but it's going to be fine. And then I also chopped this photo up. Now I will come back a little bit later in the video, and I believe I add some pattern paper behind this. June ended up not having a ton which is fine. My album at this point is very thick, and so it's fine that it didn't have a lot. But I did at the very end come back and add some pattern paper into some places because it was just looking very plain. And then I will also add a lot of those stickers to a lot of the word phrase stickers to the calendar. And the paper that I'm using, you will notice, is camping themed, and none of these photos are camping. It's just our June regular Project Life items. And so this is also a reminder that you can use any paper you want. Just because it's camping paper does not mean you have to only use it to go camping. I think that this paper is beautiful and I love it. And I didn't use some of the stickers that are more camping related, but that's totally fine. So a couple things here that I'm doing. The first one I added was the one from the Gutfeld show and one of the hosts returning. And then this second one is some of the more world things that were happening in the month. And you've seen that this year I have definitely added more political stuff. Every month I have done some things that are going on in the world. And I always say this, but it is worth continuing to be the reminder that your life is made up of a lot of different moments, of a lot of different thoughts. I get questions like, well, what do you do if you don't have kids? And I've never really been able to answer that because as long as I've been doing my albums, I've had kids basically. I did do some memory keeping the few years before I had kids and before I met my husband and while we were dating. But I was doing traditional layouts. So I wasn't necessarily taking photos of everyday moments. Now, I wish I had been. I wish that time in my life I had more photos of just everyday life. I was memory keeping in a way that I was just memory keeping big events, birthdays and holidays and trips. And so your life is made up of lots of different things. There's lots of different things that you think about and that you see and that affect your life. And those things are worth putting into your album. Now, I'm not a hugely political person. It's not something that takes up a great deal of my life. It's not something that I worry about or stress about in any way that takes up a great amount of time in my life. But there are things happening that I feel like are just historical. I feel like we're living in a time where there is so much happening that is greatly affecting our world. And you could say it's affecting it for the better or for the worse. I mean, it doesn't really, like, good or bad, that's not what I'm focused on. What I'm focused on is the effect that it's having. I was just watching a documentary about 1776 and the start of our country and the founding fathers, and it was incredible to watch. And I found myself feeling like I wish there was like Project Lifestyle documentation of those times, which obviously isn't possible, but I just found it so incredibly interesting. They were sharing like letters from women, from the wives that were writing, that's the form that they had were these letters. And it was incredible to just think about what their actual life looked like. So I encourage you to add things to your project life, however you're doing it. If you're doing it in this form, I know that it's very popular now to do like the memory keeping planner style project life, which is still amazing. Like, however you're doing it is super amazing. And I really encourage you to add things that are not just the typical things that you think you should add, but I really encourage you to think about the things that you're doing in your life, the things that you watch, the things that just make you happy. Seeing this host return to this show I don't even care that it's a political style show. What I love is that I was so excited to see her back on here. I don't follow very many like famous people or celebrities or news people on any social media. It is just something that I don't do. I'm not a big social media person to begin with. That's probably why I've failed in this arena of like YouTube, because I'm just like, I'm not everywhere. I don't like posting on Instagram. I don't spend a lot of time on Instagram or Facebook. And I don't follow very many like quote famous people. I'm not into following celebrities and all of that, like those things. It just doesn't interest me. But I specifically, when she went on maternity leave, I followed her because I wanted to see when she had her baby. And I really like her. She's funny. She's a comedian. And so I did. And then she announced that then she shared that she had found out she had cancer, like literally 2 hours before she gave birth. And so then I was even more invested. And so to see her back on the show, and they did a really fun tribute to her and shared her story, and it made me cry that night, and it made me feel happy for her that she had a baby and she's gonna be okay, and all of those things. And so I just encourage you to take a look at things that are outside of the things that you think you're supposed to be documenting. And the other thing that I've really loved that I've started to try to do is include photos. Like my mom sent me that photo of my grandpa, and I included that. And then the photo of Zane, and that was posted on Instagram. And I just took a screenshot because I was so excited. I have a friend that just texted me that her son and his wife had a baby. And so she's a grandma now. And she texted me photos of that. And I took a screenshot of it to add to my Project Life album. Your Project Life album is about your life. It's not, you don't have to just do the things that you think you should do, but there's lots of things that you can add with or without kids. I just saw a really fun idea from Allie Edwards where she took a journaling card and she jotted down what was in her email inbox. And so she just like made a list of the emails. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's such a great idea. Sitting in my email box right now is, emails about life, about bills, about, I have a PG&E, which is our electric company here. I have an email from them. I have an email from the guy that's working on my websites with me and helping me. I have an ad for Old Navy. Like, those are pieces of my life that will probably look a lot different in the future. My grandmother did not have email. Okay. She wasn't checking her email and dealing with bills and life things through email, right? So it looked different. She probably had more mail, like more actual physical mail. It would be an amazing photo to see from my grandmother's time, when she was in her, even raising her kids or after raising her kids, or I grew up with my grandma. I lived with my grandma from the time I was 11 until I moved out. And to see the mail that she got, to see a photo of like mail sitting on the kitchen table, that would bring back so many memories to see a photo like that. So this is just my reminder, I'll get off my soapbox here in a second, that your life is made up of lots of different things, and those things are worth documenting, and being able to look back on is really amazing. So I did not do the thing that I had done in the past few months where I had a list of like different political things that had happened. What I did this time is I had some photos of when it was when the bombing was happening, and there was some journaling there that I just took from online. And then I did do a transcript of a video that I watched that outlined all the things, or the majority of the really big things that have happened politically since January. And it was a video that I watched that was sort of going over all of those things. And all I did was take a transcript. You can do that on YouTube. You just click for the transcript and then it will give you the transcript for that video. And I put it on a Word document. And then I will put that in an 8.5 by 11 page protector, and I will actually stick that probably at the very back of the album after where I document about Violet's surgery. I will put that in there because it sort of sums up the last like 6 months, 5 or 6 months. And I probably will not be doing anything like that in the second half of my album. I feel like, okay, you know, there was a lot that took place the last 6 months, and I've documented that fairly well. And so I don't think that it's something that I need to continue to do the second half of my album. But I don't know, maybe, you know, maybe I will feel like I want to. But at this point, I don't have any plans to. I did all of my journaling cards. This is how I've been doing my journaling cards on these black and white cards. I've talked about this. If you would like me to talk more in depth about why I'm doing it this way and how I'm doing it, I'm happy to share that. It's really fairly easy, and I really love doing the journaling this way. I feel like I have found my groove with it. And this journaling card here says faves, and then it says currently loving, and then I listed 5 things. The very last one is not something I'm loving, but I said on that journaling piece, it's worth mentioning that this is something that's happening, and it coordinates with one of the photos. Not all of the 5 things coordinate with the photos, but some of them do. And then on the back here was Violet's surgery. She had all of her wisdom teeth removed. Her face was so swollen, and it was quite an ordeal. If you're new here, she is autistic. She's our middle daughter, and she is autistic. And so it was quite the ordeal. And then the office that we had to go to is about an hour away. So we had an hour-long drive on a crazy curvy country road that was not fun when you have just had surgery. So and then she got some flowers from a friend brought her ice cream, and brought her ice cream and flowers, and so I added that. And then I just did a card that says highlights, and then I just did a brief, exactly probably what I just told you, a brief text about what had happened and what she went through. She was a champ. She did really good. And I was so thankful that I scheduled that for right after, well, my husband did, I didn't. I was so thankful that he thought to schedule that the very first Monday of the summer break, because then we just got it over with and it worked out really well. So I have just a photo of her. She was very concerned about the bruise from the IV she had. So just a few of those things. Okay. And then here is where I will go back through, and you will see that I will add a little bit of pattern paper to a couple different places, because it just needed it needed a little bit of color. And then you also see on the back of my calendar, I did that layout off camera right there. And that's just of the last day of school. A photo of Andrew, and then a photo of Isaac and Kayla. I forgot to take a photo of Violet. And then here what I'm doing is I have a couple pieces of acetate. This acetate that I have is a little bit thin, and so that's why I did 2 pieces of acetate together. So I just did a little bit of adhesive in the middle. I knew that that would be covered, so I put those 2 pieces of acetate together just so that it would be a little bit stronger. And then I will use this page protector to add my holes to the acetate. And I will have to widen these a little bit. I think right here I get off a little bit. And so when I go to put it in the album, the holes are a tiny bit off. So I'll just make those a little bit wider and they will fit. And then I was feeling like June was a little bit sparse. And so what I'm going to do is I had ordered 2 photos in 5x7, and I don't remember why I ordered these 2 particular photos in 5x7. One is of some sunflowers, and then the other one is of Violet's flowers, but that she got from a friend after her surgery. So here's the sunflower one, and I don't know why I ordered these in 5x7, but they were sitting on my desk, and since I can't remember, I thought I'll put them on acetate and then put them in June, and then that adds just a little pop of color and something a little extra. One of my favorite things about Project Life is all of the different layers and all of the different sizes of things. And so I really like that. And so this was just like a last minute ad where I was like, well, I'll add these. I don't know why I got them in a large format like this. So I just put them back to back, and then it's like they're floating there in the album. And so now I'm going to jump in to just talking through some of the things that I've done as I wrap things up. It won't be voiceover, it'll be in the moment. So I apologize if I repeat myself. All right, let me give you an idea of what I did. I did a few things off camera. And next week, when you see Project Life weekly from me, what you're going to see is me finish this album up. So I will finish the couple things I have in May. We're going to stamp all of my Avery Index tabs because I stamp at the end of the album, and there's a specific reason I do that. I'll share that next week. So that's what you will see next week, is we'll wrap this album up, and then the following week we'll dive into the second half of the year. So this is how June has turned out. Now, I don't think that I'm going to go in and add anything else. Typically, I would add my photos, then I would add my journaling, then I would go back and add any embellishments I was going to add. I've sort of just done that this whole setting that I've done. I've added all my photos, I did all my journaling, and then I added a few pieces, you'll see. And I think that's all I'm gonna do, honestly. So I used the Simple Stories collection. This is a set that I got at the Scrapbook Expo back in October. It is the Simple Stories Trail Mix, and it was a 12x12 collection. That is what I've used for all of the pieces. And then I have a few random pieces from Allie Edwards. So this is my random photos. I love that I was able to include a picture of my grandpa. That was really nice. I did June highs down here. This is just a picture of me cooking. Not me cooking, but all the food out that I am cooking. I still am loving doing my journaling this way. It was super easy to do. And it's just, I think that I will continue to do this. It just is really working for me. The other thing is that I went and I grabbed my June container that has all of my June pieces to see if I had any other embellishments or anything, and I didn't. I did have some word phrase stickers, but they were in gray, and I just didn't feel like they matched what I was doing. And so we have the insert for graduation. These chipboard pieces, these were in the June Stories by the Month kit, and I won't use them. I didn't need to use them in my personal album. So there is this. I think it turned out great. We flip that over. Here is my story about Kat returning to the show. I did my journaling there. I did fill out my calendar. I just popped in the few things that we had. The first week of June was a bit busier, and then we had lots of spots that didn't have anything. I added these word phrase stickers from the bottom of the sticker sheet, and then I added a couple little elements in different spots just to fill that calendar up. I really like the way that it came out. On the back, I went ahead and I did this. I added the photo of Andrew there, and then the one that I took of him for the last day of school is right here. So this was one that he took on the bus on his last day. And so I put that in there, and then I just noted that that was what Andrew's last day of school, and then that I forgot to take Violet's photo for the end of school. First time in my kids' lives that I did not take one of their photos for the last day of school. And in fact, these happened, I think these were, this was like the day or the first or second day after school ended, and I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't get your guys' photos. I made Kayla do it, and then I made Isaac do it, and it was funny. Kayla was like, you just have to do these things. Like, if you're gonna be a part of like our life and our family and like the hanging out with us, this is what my mom does. And then I made a note that Kayla and Isaac did not spend a lot of time in class the last week of school. He is a senior, and so he was doing a lot like senior ditch day and all of that, and she was tagging along. And so they did not spend a lot of time in class that last week. This you just saw me do. It's these two floral photos, and I just put it on acetate and then added this. I just felt like June needed a little something extra, a little something else. And then on this side, I did add some color to the back of these photos. This was all about when the bombing happened. I think this was towards the very beginning of June. And this was Esau and I watching the news coverage. We're laying on our bed, and then we're watching it on the iPad, and he was holding my hand, and I snapped this photo. And then this was, this is basically the journaling. It got cut off, and that's totally okay. You can piece it together and read it, so I think it's fine. On the back, here's just some extra random photos. I added this photo of Andrew on the front porch to this, and then that journaling has all of that. I did June lows right here, and then this ended up filling up. I loved doing this, currently loving, and I did 5 things currently loving, and then the 5th one is not loving, and it is about this that's happening. And then this is the back of Violet's, this is her surgery stuff. So her face was swollen really bad. We're taking care of her. She's not someone, like, she's not one of my kids that likes to snuggle or cuddle, and that week she was. And then flowers that a friend brought her, and then the story of that. So all of the journaling is done. Next week what we will do is we'll go ahead and fix this. I'll fix this journaling. I think May could use a few embellishments. I will fix this. We will stamp our Avery index tabs, and then this half of the album will be wrapped up. So thank you so much for joining me this week. It was a really long video. I did quite a bit getting back into my album and getting those photos in there and getting things wrapped up. So I appreciate you being here, and I will chat with you in my next video. Thank you so much for joining me this week. Here on the screen are 2 other videos that you can check out if you would like. I would love for you to check out my membership, and we would love to have you join our membership community if you would like. I will be back next week in another video for you, and I hope you're having a wonderful day.